do you think that you are free? If you are, how did you become free? And if you are not free, why do you think that is? And what do you do to become free? And in general, you could just elaborate on this term. Um, and I will start with Mr. Lee Parks.
Thank you, Alex. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, so the I'm assuming that you chose this term to get a whole bunch of different answers, and going to bikers is probably as good a group as any to get a bunch of different opinions. And so I'll start with the first question is, are you free? Well, to answer that question, I think we first need to define what does free mean. So I looked up on Merriam-Webster, and it turned out there were 15 definitions for free. So, but I'm going to just address the 7 ones that were the most meaningful to me. So the first one is not costing or charging anything, right? So for work, no, I'm not free. That's something that I charge for. But when it comes to intellectual pursuits like the Zoom meeting, then yes, that is something that I'll do for free. Number 2, having the legal and political rights of the citizen, enjoying civil and political liberty. So, well, we like to say that America is a free country, and in elections, personally, I vote my conscience, which typically means voting libertarian on national issues, as I'm fiscally more conservative than the Republicans and socially more liberal than the Democrats. Having said that, I've been successful at getting bills passed into laws on both the state and the federal levels by basically being willing to work with both sides of the aisle. If you guys remember growing up, Alex, I don't know if you were here when you were young enough to remember the Schoolhouse Rock cartoons, but if you remember those, they had this one thing about how a bill becomes a law. And I hate to tell everybody this, but that's not really how bills work. But there are ways to figure that out. If there's one thing I've learned, it's democracy is not really available to people who don't have lobbyists. So if you want to get bills changed, or if you want to get laws made, you got to hire some lobbyists. In terms of civil liberties, I would say I feel mostly free, but I do experience some discrimination for both my political and religious, or should I say anti-religious views. Number 3, determined by the choice of the actor. So this is what I like to call agency, which has to do with feeling like I have the ability to direct action toward accomplishing my personal goals, which I do wholeheartedly. 4, having no trade restrictions and not subject to government regulation. Well, there's a lot of government regulation in most of the states where my motorcycle training schools operate, but typically we do the best in areas where we have free competition. Being a motorcycle racer since 1984, I typically thrive on competition as long as it's fair. 5, outspoken, is free in his criticism. Well, with obvious legal and moral boundaries, such as not shouting fire in a crowded theater when there is none, I feel like I experience a solid freedom of speech, which brings up experiencing something I like to call the freedom of self-expression, which is not something I feel most people get to truly experience. So if we use riding motorcycles to understand it, the constraints of the size and the shape of the roadway or the track, I think, allow a freedom to choose both the speed that we go and the position on the road within it. But there really is no freedom without some kind of restraint with which to have freedom in. So for instance, if I tried to describe walking, it would be impossible if I didn't also describe the surface which the person was riding on, or walking on rather, which comes with a lot of built-in restrictions. Otherwise, the description would be of someone just kind of swinging their legs in empty space, which is not in any way an accurate or satisfying description of walking. 6, not permanently attached, but able to move about, and we'll call that freedom to travel. So with the current COVID restrictions notwithstanding, as an American, I feel like I have an immense ability to travel domestically and abroad. And I have taken full advantage of that access, having traveled all across North and Central America and Europe, not to mention trips that I've taken to the Galapagos Islands, the Russian Federation, Okinawa, and most recently I got to go to the Philippines for both work and fun. 7, not restricted by or conforming to conventional forms. So I think one of the things that's made my training company successful is we didn't start out as a Me Too curriculum. So basically by starting out with a clean sheet design, we were not constrained by the way it was done in the past. So in essence, we were able to build a better mousetrap because we didn't have those constraints. Your next question, if yes, how did you become free? So to answer that, I believe that there's 3 things that keep most people enslaved, and that is fear, the past, and dogma. So fear can be physical, such as dangerous activities like riding a motorcycle. It can be emotional, for instance, public speaking, a fear of public speaking, or asking that person out on a date, or financial. So risking the safety of saving or of a savings account, making money by either investing in a stock or starting a business. Allowing your past experiences and failures to keep you from trying something new is one of the things I think I see too many people being in bondage over, by repeating the same patterns in their life without even knowing that they're basically reusing the same life script over and over and over. We all know people that seem to have those same bad relationships over and over again, or business failures, etc. So I'll end with dogma, and whether it's religious dogma or state-based dogma, if you already know the answers to life's mysteries, stop exploring, innovating, and also learning. It's no wonder that fear is used by both the church and the state to control and limit the populace. And as FDR once said, fear makes progress impossible. So the bottom line to being free is: one, learn how to, as we like to say, feel the fear and do it anyway. Two, put your past in the past and leave it there. And three, quit giving away your personal agency in life, either the government or organized religion. That's what I got on free.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Lee Parks. And, it would probably, I'm thinking it would have been good if I introduced everyone, but I'm a lazy slob, so I didn't get to know everyone beforehand. So, Lee Parks, what I know about Lee Parks is he makes some really good motorcycle gloves, which I went and bought from him, and I met him. And he's a motorcycle racer. And well, a champion racer as far as I know. So Lee, if you want to add a little bit more about yourself, so I guess everybody could kind of tell a little bit about themselves in the beginning, so we can understand. But yeah, that's all my fault. I should have actually got to know you guys and said, introduced everybody. But yeah.
Yeah, no problem. Sounds like you've got a bunch of us that are motorcyclists. That's great. That makes it easy. We're all family here. So I've been riding since I was 12 and racing since I was 14. I did win a national endurance championship. I wrote 3 best-selling books. The most popular one is called Total Control, which is also the name of my company. And we are a motorcycle training company that does beginner through racetrack training, including we have the contracts for doing the whole state of California and most of the state of Pennsylvania, but we operate in quite a few states and provinces. And I like to ride. What else can I say?
You got to mention the gloves, man. That's the
yeah. Well, you already mentioned it. So I have a company called
bomb ass gloves. They're made from elk or what is it?
Deerskin, yeah, deerskin and elk skin, both.
I don't know. They're just real. They just fit real good, and I recommend them. But anyway, so let's go on to who's ready to go. Is everybody just there? We go. Let's go with Scott Sappers. So I'm gonna unmute. I'm gonna ask to unmute. So there we go.
Okay. Okay, so you asked, am I free? Yes. But before I go into how, I want to explain what that means to me. So in order to, the way I think of it, we're all free, right? I mean, there are people in this world that are enslaved, who are in prison, that's a different set of circumstances. But for those of us on this call, presumably none of you are enslaved or in prison. We are free. There's a difference between freedom and a lack of cost or entitlement. So I'm free to become anything I want, to have anything I want, if I'm willing to accept the path it takes to get there. So I can become a millionaire if I want to dedicate myself to pursuing that and working that and doing that. I can go and commit a crime and rob a bank or something if I'm willing to accept that there may be a consequence to that I do. And this brings us to motorcycles, right? So when pursuing that as a hobby or a lifestyle, however we do it, I've been riding for 30 years, we accept that there's a cost. And that cost is the purchasing of a motorcycle, the maintenance of it, the learning curve, and the times that if you're like me and you ride long distances, the times that you're miserably cold, miserably hot, you're soaking wet, you're tired, you're hurting, you've crashed before, you know that it's always possible to crash again, and you accept that. So you accept the cost and or consequences of whatever it is that you want, and you decide if that's something that you're willing to pay. So I can become anything and do anything if I'm willing to accept that. Now the cost may be too high. So I personally choose not to rob banks because I feel that the price of that is more than I want to pay. But to each their own. But that doesn't mean I can't do it. I can do it. But you're never going to find a situation where there's freedom from judgment and freedom from everything. And you just say, I'm going to go rob a bank. And everyone says, great, that's fine. That's not a society that you'll ever have, because anytime that there's more than one person, there's going to be some sort of expectation of behavior of both people. So that will always exist. But if you get into the mindset of you can do anything you want, you can have anything you want if you're willing to work for it or somehow achieve it, then you don't blame the world for preventing you from having the things or being where you want to be. The world is too tough, or my situation won't allow me to get an education, or won't allow me to become the thing I want to become. You have the freedom if you're willing to pay the price. And how did I get there? By accepting responsibility. Because there's a big difference between saying I can't do this because the world won't let me, and then finally admitting to yourself, I can't do this because I won't accept how hard it is. Once I accept how hard it is and decide that I can do it, that gives me freedom. That's what I got.
Well, thank you very much for that. And when you were talking about the bank robbery, I just remembered there was a meme that I saw, a meme, I don't know what it's called, but in a motorcycle group just a few minutes ago, it said, when you take a loan out, you got to pay them 30 years. If you rob a bank, you'll be out in 10 years. I was laughing. Yeah. Okay, let's a few words about yourself, if you don't mind.
Sure. My name's Scott. I'm 45 years old. My girlfriend and I are restoring our house. I am 21 years into a career in emergency management. So when the earthquakes come and the fires come, I'm the guy that's at work, with that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I've been riding for 30 years.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much for the speech.
Okay, so my name is George Perlstein. I'm a 72-year-old retiree. I had a very long career in electro, hydraulic, electronic, heavy equipment repair, battery-powered forklifts, diesels, gasoline. My last, I was in business for myself. I went to work for New York City Transit as a subway car repairman. Went into the emergency department of that function. Had a minor motorcycle accident, and being active in the union, I was assigned to work in the union assistance program, helping members with substance abuse programs until I retired 2 years ago, just 2 years ago. And I was married. I'm divorced 22 years and have a wonderful girlfriend. I just enjoy life. And that's about me in a nutshell. But as far as freedom is concerned, I applaud Lee, for that wonderful presentation about the various forms of freedom. I didn't go in that direction when I was thinking about my presentation. Scott was also very focused and had some thoughts about freedom. What I had been thinking about was, how the genesis of my freedom, lack thereof, and restoration of my freedom. And so I was born in 1948 in Budapest, Hungary, and my father died when I was 2 years old. And frankly, in retrospect, I find myself floundering for almost most of my life. Okay, and when I say floundering, there was no male figure in my life. My mother did remarry when I was 12. We left Hungary when I was 8. And by that time, I'd gone like on all sorts of crazy adventures and making everybody insane. The schools, my mother, and my brother. Don't do it, George. Don't do it. And I would just take off and go wherever I wanted to go. So I was very, very independent. But like I say, there was wonderful freedom, sense of freedom, but it wasn't focused. It wasn't directed. And that was kind of like, and like I'm saying, we left there when I was 8 years old. I just started school. And the point that I'm trying to make is that I never really had like long-term friend connections. Okay, I was never part of a group of friends. For several years, we traveled around, and the other day I counted how many schools I went to from kindergarten through high school, college, and I came up with 15 or 16 different schools. It was like I was never in one place long enough to really form these associations, and which not only contributed to my lack of direction, free floating kind of a thing, but it compelled me to be very self-reliant. And that's my freedom.
Hello, thanks a lot, buddy. Yeah, you got the name right. It's Armin Manoogian, but I'll just introduce myself. My name is Armin. Born and raised in Pennsylvania, moved to California in 1986. Dropped out of high school. School wasn't it for me. Got my girlfriend pregnant at 20 years old, got married, and fortunately I busted butt and started my own auto repair business about 22 years ago, 46 years old now. I got 2 children. One is 19, one is 24, both boys. One is actually a police officer, so he can actually give me a ticket when I ride like an idiot. My dream was always to race motorcycles, just like Lee mentioned. He races, and so I just busted butt and got a bike and started doing track days. Before you know it, I was racing, and then I was helping others who race, and I've been racing now for 21 years. I actually stopped last year. I got 3 concussions in 1 year. It sucks when people take you out on the racetrack. I'm sure Lee knows about that. Won an expert championship club racing, no big deal. I raced the Ducati Superleggera. My whole life I've been racing Suzukis. I've been fortunate enough to be really good friends with the guys at Yoshimura, and I pretty much have all their factory bikes for multiple years. Been lucky to pursue my dream. Sometimes, unfortunately, it causes a compromise. Been married 24 years now, and we're kind of separated. Motorcycles pretty much took over my life. I love working on them. I love building them. I love fabricating parts for them. But unfortunately, that takes time and money. So a lot of people talk about how much sacrifice they've done for stuff. And really, I just laugh at them because I sacrificed it all. I mean, I've worked 37 hours nonstop in my shop until the sun came up, went down, and came back up. Committed a lot to racing. Didn't get anywhere in life. My injuries held me back. But here I am, 46 years old, talking about freedom. Do I feel free? I would say when I was young, I mean, I'm sure you guys are all from California. I don't know if you guys are, but moving to California, I remember in the 80s, California was like literally California dreaming. It really was. And you had that sense of freedom, and you had that sense of you could do anything. And just like myself, and how I think it was Scott. I mean, America. He said, "Is his name Scott?" Yeah, it was Scott. Scott had mentioned that you can accomplish anything in America because of our freedom and our values, and I feel like that was the case, and it still kind of is. So my answer is quasi yes and no. I do feel free in this country living in America, but there's a lot of things that are shaping up that I've seen in the last 10 to 15 years that are just like ridiculous. As far as my business goes, monetarily, I don't feel free. I feel like I'm being taxed up to my eyeballs. In fact, tomorrow morning, I got to make a phone call to the IRS. And it's ridiculous how I'm being taxed. It's ridiculous how consumers are being taxed. It's ridiculous with all the EPA laws. I mean, and I get it. There has to be government. And just like Lee said, I don't believe in big government. I'm a libertarian myself, but the Libertarian Party hasn't gotten anywhere in the last 300 years in America. So sometimes you got to side with the Republican Party because of my conservative values. These conservative values hold our freedoms. And regardless of what you are, I see, and I don't want to get political about it, but I see one party fighting for our freedoms and the other fighting to take those freedoms away. And California is no exception. I mean, California is the forefront of basically big government and take your rights away. I don't believe the government should have a department of everything. The government should stay out of my business. I don't feel free now because I just got out of Facebook jail, and I understand Facebook is a private company, and I have the freedom of speech, but not on a private platform. I was joking around with one of my really good friends, and I told him something. It wasn't even profanity, and it was something to do with tools and stuff. And they blocked me because I called him a tool whore because he had a lot of tools, and I'm a tool whore myself. So somehow Facebook justified blocking me for 30 days and basically stopped me from having my voice during the election time, during this presidency, during my birthday, which is Inauguration Day, ironically. I couldn't voice my opinion on a public platform, which is technically private. I felt like Big Brother on me, and how they're fact checking information now on social media and how they're controlling the dialogue on media, on the news networks. I just feel like it's almost like society is being brainwashed. There's a huge propaganda going on. I forgot which book it was that somebody got banned on Amazon.com. So I remember reading a book called Fahrenheit 451 in high school. Probably one of the only books I've read. I hate reading, and that's probably why I don't have my diploma to this day. It was basically in the future where books couldn't be read and books would be burned. And nowadays we don't have books. It's all virtual, and you can listen to somebody read you a book on an app, basically. And Amazon sells digital books, and now they're taking certain books down. And I feel like that's becoming a reality of that book for Fahrenheit 451. We're not burning books. We're basically deleting them off Amazon.com. And most libraries are liberal run, and they're going to choose. They're forcing us what we want to hear, and they're basically indoctrinating us. Basically, I forgot what communist leader it was. I think it was Khrushchev or something that said it only takes one generation of brainwashed education to basically rethink society, and I think that's what's happening right now. I don't feel free. I feel like we're in this weird America where wrong is right and right is wrong. And I'm not a hardcore religious person, but they talk about that in the Bible. And everything is wrong, whether they're trying to make science into an opinion. And that don't mean nothing to me. Yeah, I don't feel free. There's another example I want to mention. I can't think of it, but as far as freedom, what I think freedom is when you can get up and do as you please, so long as you don't hurt someone, harm someone, or impede somebody from their own freedom. That's what I think is going on. My freedoms are being taken away because of some people's opinions on my free speech. Free speech is gone in this country, as far as I'm concerned. If you say something, they'll basically gang up on you and basically wipe you out, basically, whether it's on social media or if you own a business like me. If I'm self-employed, I can't voice my opinion because guess what'll happen? I'll have a mob in front of my shop. I'll have windows broken until I give up and move away, or crawl in my corner and shut up. And I think that's what's happening in society today, especially in majority of these liberal run states and cities. I just wish people would really think about what our founding fathers went after when they made the Constitution, when they made the Bill of Rights. All these were done planning ahead, because they already left a screwed up country that was being overtaxed and overruled. Every year they came out with thousands of new laws, and that's what's happening in the United States right now. Every year we get thousands of new laws and thousands of new instructions. And then 1,000 new taxes, and God knows what's going to happen in the future. I believe in small government, because small government basically doesn't need so much money to run the government. And that you overtax people, and guess what happens? The economy gets compromised and diminishes. It doesn't encourage growth. As far as freedom, I feel like if the government was not so strenuous on me and on my business, I would feel like I'm free. If the media wasn't so controlled and one-sided, and basically giving false propaganda to its people watching, I don't think this country is headed towards anything good with that kind of attitude. As far as me, my best feeling of freedom is when I get on my bike, whether I go for a roll up in the canyons and relax and hit the reset button on my mind so I can get on with the next week and get to work, or on the racetrack where there are rules, but there's no police and you're free to go as fast as you want. And again, very small government in a racing organization. There's certain guidelines, certain rules. You follow those, you can do whatever you want. And I think that's how our government should do. So that's about all I have to say. I don't know if I could add anything to it, but hopefully that helps and you guys get an idea.
Okay, my name is Kevin Clark. I live in the North Cascades in Washington, about 12 miles from the Canadian border. And with the COVID-19 going on, the Canadians have the border closed. That's their choice. And I'm an admin on the 81st Sturgis Motorcycle Rally page on Facebook. And so I get a lot of posts from the Canadians that are unable to, probably this year again, going to be unable to come down to the rally. And that's a big thing, I see as one of my freedoms is being able to go do on my motorcycle what I want to do when I want to do it. And so I have military background. I graduated high school, and I gave Uncle Sam in the Army, I gave him 3 years. And I believe that, my service and the service of others, and if any of you have served, thank you very much. That's why we have the freedoms we have. And, we're so close to losing a lot of these freedoms at this point in time. But yeah, when I get to the point that I'm feeling that I'm not happy, I just get on the bike and go for a ride. And that gives me that sense of freedom, and that's my meditation time. I ride a lot by myself, and then I have a small group of people that I ride with at times. So, but yeah, our founding fathers, this country was founded on the freedom of religion and the freedom of speech and the right to bear arms and the freedom to travel as we please. So, and our military services have worked for all of those years, since the Constitution and the Bill of Rights to maintain those freedoms. So, And I'm 56 years old, been riding motorcycles since 10 years old. So yeah, it's my escape.
Uh, is that it, Kevin?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, if you guys allow me, I'll give my monologue now. And my name is Alex. Nickname is Botsman. it was given to me during an expedition. So that's actually a part of my story. Is I served. You could say I served 7 years in this structure called the Expeditionary Force. Now, what it is it's a group of people that grew very much over the 7 years. I spoke to this about this with Lee Parks. He had a term that he used for us. Was it Mythbusters or something, or something like that? But that's what we went around the world debunking certain myths, and we kind of paid our attention to things that other travelers don't really pay attention to. My video, I want to tell other generations, other people like me, because I didn't know this when I was growing up. And now during the research that we've done, we have come up with something that does work. Basically, the more um, skills a person has, the more free he becomes. And see, when I was growing up, I didn't know this. That's why I was just kind of copying everybody. Like, first I was in Ukraine. That's where I was born. My dad gave me a little moped. That was freedom to me. He gave me money to put gas in it. I rode all over Ukraine. That was freedom to me. And then I started understanding, hey, he's giving me some kind of papers that buy fuel for freedom. I started to understand that I'm going to have to make those papers somehow. And then, I would look around. Then I moved to America and I started looking around. I went to school. I dropped out of school because I thought it was just that was jail. I said, I don't want to sit in classrooms. I dropped out of school to go wash dishes. And before that, I mowed lawns, to make that paper freedom. It's that paper is what gave me freedom, what I thought, because when you want something, you want a scooter, you want that gas, you need that money to fuel your freedom. So it's if you're working a 9 to 5, it's hard to say you're free, because you get home, you sleep, you go back to work, you pay for your house, and it's just a cycle that never ends. But, and I made a post about this on my page, if you figure out a skill that allows you to make that $5,000, say in 2 hours instead of a month, then you have just earned freedom. You earned 29 days out of the month that you don't have to do anything, because you just have that one skill that allows you to make $5,000 in a few hours. And and all that are skills. There are people out there who have that skill, and I know for sure because I know those people. And one of them is my mentor. He's part of our club. He's part of the Expeditionary Corps. His name is Oleg, and he is someone that I look up to because he learns skills extremely quickly, and the level of his freedom is extremely high because of those skills. And the funny thing is, no world governments, no anybody, like there were people that attacked us because of our debunking myths and tried to take our freedom, but because of his skills, him knowing what to do in each situation, we were able to stay free. We didn't get killed. We were okay. So that's something I want to tell people who are watching this. Just know that your skills, the level of your skills, is what gives you freedom. So if you are, if you go to work and all you can do is use your arms, you're going to flip burgers. You have a certain level of freedom. You got to work all day long to pay for your bills. If you say gain a skill to program computers, you make a program, you make a 10 million bucks, you just raised your level of freedom, you know what I mean? And so that's something that I wanted to contribute to people like me that are, say, 20 years back, going through this this washing machine, I call it. Like you're just kind of grabbing everything and trying to copy what people are doing, trying to make this money, but not understanding that you need to learn skills. Just basically learn as many freaking skills as you can, as fast as you can, and you will be good. You won't have to rely on people. You won't have to go to a boss and ask for money. You know how to handle weapons. People won't, they'll think twice if they want to come take your freedom. If you know how to work on the inside the internet, if you learn that skill, you can protect your business from internet attacks. We've had many of those. People try to. It was. I'm not going to get into it, but it was bad. We had internet wars. We had physical wars, and the skills that we learned during these expeditions all over the world, gave me personally a certain level of freedom. And I'm gonna end it there. And this was a good talk. I'm gonna post this video on my page, the Los Honorables Club page, and also on YouTube. You guys can comment there and follow each other, continue to speak to each other if you wish to do so. And I think this was an awesome thing. And my next talk will be about death. Let me turn on your microphones just to hear you.
Thanks a lot, Alex. Yeah, that point you made about freedom and money is true. I never even thought about that. But yeah, the more money you make, the more freedom you have.
Yeah. I started understanding that when I was real young, when my dad was giving me gas money. I said, hey, I'm buying freedom here. I can go farther.
I like that. I like that piece about the skills. The skills set you free.
Yeah, that's true.
I definitely identify with that. Yeah.
See, that's something that you can say our service to the Expeditionary Corps kind of brought out, because we didn't know that at first. Like it seems like such a simple thing, but always the simplest things are the hardest to comprehend for some reason.
You overlook them. They're too simple. It can't be the answer.
You go through life and you're thinking about these elaborate things, and I don't know how it happened, but the research that this is the results of our research all over the world, because we researched roots of different organizations, and that's what we came up with, and it works.
It's the KISS principle. You know the KISS principle?
Keep it simple, stupid.
Right. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, definitely on the skills part. That's another thing you mentioned that makes sense. Like if you learn a skill, you don't have to be dependent on somebody, and that gives you freedom. You crash enough race bikes, you got to learn how to paint. You got to learn how to paint. So instead of paying $1,000 every time to have a set of bodywork painted, you do it yourself, and that's what I did. Then it went down to engine building. Then it went down to machining. I got an aluminum welder. I learned how to weld myself because I don't want to be dependent, and that did give me some kind of freedom. You're exactly right, dude. That's another thing. Yeah.
Guys, I'm going to open up another little secret. This whole year, my mentor, Oleg Maltsev, is a great guy. He's a great guy. And he is showing us the technology that allows to acquire skills quickly, because knowing him for 7 years, I see that he can do that extremely quick, and we never understood how he does that. He can read books in like an hour and just learn something just within a day or two. Like, we don't understand how he does that, but this whole year is going to be about that, about acquiring skills quickly. And that goes hand in hand with the philosophy of our motorcycle club, which is invulnerability. So when you strive you know, our life goals in our club is striving towards invulnerability. And the more skills we can acquire, the faster we can acquire them, you know, the better off and the closer we get to that invulnerability. And that's what we're doing this whole year. So this is, if interested, you guys can follow the page, and I'll post the content on there about the skills of acquiring technology.
I'm logging into you now.
Okay. Well, thank you guys very much.
No problem. Pleasure meeting you guys.
Yep, you too. Thanks, Al, for putting this together, and nice meeting everybody. It was great to get a lot of different
All right, very awesome.
perspectives on, in this case, freedom. And I guess we all happen to be motorcyclists too, so what's not to love?
And we had Harley join. Who's Harley? Harley, you're a little late, but you'll be able to watch this. You'll be able to watch this and upload your video, and we'll connect them. All right. I'm logging off, guys. Thank you very much.